New satellite imagery and open-source intelligence reports have claimed the true pace of Russia's long-standing project to modernize and rebuild the legendary Tupolev Tu-160 strategic bomber fleet, which is once again attracting international attention. Although Moscow continues to promote the aircraft as a symbol of Russia's strategic nuclear power, recent foreign analysis claims that the modernization campaign is progressing at a significantly slower pace and with far greater industrial strain than official statements suggest. The Tu-160, referred to in NATO terminology as the Blackjack, continues to be the world's largest and heaviest operational supersonic bomber. The aircraft was initially developed during the Soviet era, first flew in 1981, and officially entered service in 1987. Despite its age, the bomber remains a critical component of Russia's long-range strike doctrine because of its ability to carry nuclear and conventional cruise missiles across intercontinental distances. According to recent claims from aviation-focused OSINT researchers, Russia's current Tu-160 fleet is experiencing significant pressure. These claims remain estimates and could also form part of wartime information campaigns rather than fully verified operational facts. Satellite imagery from the Kazan Aviation Plant and several Russian air bases appears to show a fleet divided between combat operations, modernization work, maintenance cycles, and incomplete production programs. And honestly, this is where things start getting a little messy for everyone trying to track the real numbers. Moving deeper into the Tu-160M modernization effort, the program is focused on converting aging Soviet-built Tu-160 bombers into the upgraded Tu-160M standard while simultaneously attempting to restart serial production under the Tu-160M2 initiative. The work is being carried out by the Kazan Aircraft Production Association, Russia's primary heavy bomber manufacturing facility. The Tu-160M modernization package includes updated avionics, new communication systems, modernized radar equipment, digital cockpit technologies, and enhanced electronic warfare systems. The aircraft are also receiving upgraded NK-32 engines designed to improve reliability and extend operational range. Nevertheless, the missile carriage architecture and overall airframe design remain largely unchanged from the Soviet-era configuration. Russian officials have repeatedly described the Tu-160M2 as an entirely new aircraft rather than a rebuilt Soviet bomber. However, Altitude Addicts notes that publicly available evidence often blurs the distinction between newly constructed aircraft and modernized ones. Some of the so-called new bombers are reportedly assembled using unfinished Soviet-era components and partially completed airframes that remained in storage for decades. In practical terms, combining a decades-old structural foundation with modern systems creates something closer to a hybrid aircraft than a completely fresh design. The modernization timeline itself has become one of the most debated aspects of the program. Reports suggest that a single Tu-160 bomber spent nearly 5 years undergoing modernization before reappearing publicly in 2026. That lengthy turnaround has raised questions about Russia's ability to sustain rapid fleet replenishment during wartime conditions. At the same time, strategic bombers around the world face similar challenges because many of their production lines disappeared decades ago, and sourcing high-quality aerospace components is rarely quick or simple. Shifting toward operational readiness, one of the most revealing parts of the recent analysis concerns how many Tu-160 bombers are actually combat-ready at any given moment. Analysts citing registry data claim that Russia currently operates around 18 Tu-160M bombers. However, they believe only about 7 are regularly used in combat missions linked to the conflict in Ukraine. According to those claims, the remaining aircraft are distributed across modernization facilities, testing programs, maintenance workshops, training units, or long-term storage. Analysts estimate that only roughly 1/3 of the fleet may be immediately available for operational missions at any given time. But again, these figures remain approximations rather than officially confirmed numbers. This operational pattern highlights the enormous logistical complexity involved in maintaining strategic bombers. Unlike tactical fighter aircraft, the Tu-160 requires lengthy servicing cycles, specialized components, and an extensive maintenance infrastructure. Its enormous variable sweep wing structure and 4 powerful afterburning engines make it one of the most maintenance-intensive bombers ever built. And yes, keeping something this massive flying is probably closer to running a moving industrial complex than operating a normal aircraft. Satellite imagery also appears to show that Russia disperses its bombers across multiple air bases to reduce vulnerability. Combat missions are frequently launched from the Ukrainka Air Base in Russia's Far East, while Engels 2 Air Base in Saratov Oblast serves as a key staging and missile loading hub. Since 2022, this dispersal strategy has become increasingly important due to repeated Ukrainian drone attacks targeting Russia's strategic aviation infrastructure. According to analysts, the repeated attacks on Engels 2 have forced Russia to rethink parts of its basing strategy for nuclear-capable bombers. Attention is now turning toward the Kazan Aviation Plant itself, which has effectively become the center of Russia's strategic bomber ambitions. Satellite imagery from March and April 2026 showed multiple Tu-160M aircraft positioned both inside and outside newly constructed production facilities. Analysts estimate that roughly 7 to 9 Tu-160M and Tu-160M2 aircraft are currently undergoing assembly, repair, or modernization work at the plant. That represents a remarkably large portion of the total fleet concentrated at a single industrial location. According to Altitude Addicts, the situation reflects both the complexity of the modernization effort and the limited throughput capacity of Russia's strategic aviation industry. Russia first announced plans to restart Tu-160 production nearly a decade ago. At the time, officials spoke about ambitious production rates and large-scale fleet expansion. However, the actual pace appears to have been considerably slower than originally promised. Russian officials had once suggested that the first newly produced aircraft could leave the factory as early as 2023, but reports indicate that a major new production facility in Kazan only became operational in 2026. Satellite images showing several bombers parked outdoors while awaiting work inside the facility may suggest production bottlenecks. Analysts interpret this as evidence that the modernization program is operating near the limits of available industrial capacity. However, Russian reports have also highlighted major infrastructure expansion in Kazan, including facilities linked to the civilian Tu-214 program. So to be fair, some aircraft positioning visible from space could simply reflect temporary restructuring inside the plant rather than outright delays. Western sanctions have likely introduced additional complications as well. Russia's aerospace sector has reportedly faced supply chain disruptions involving electronics, precision machinery, and industrial materials. Restrictions affecting rubber-related products used in aviation manufacturing have reportedly made it harder to source even basic components like aircraft tires. Modern aerospace production depends heavily on large international industrial networks, and sanctions can gradually disrupt those systems over time. Despite all these challenges, the Tu-160 remains one of Russia's most strategically important military assets. Alongside submarine-launched nuclear missiles and land-based intercontinental ballistic missiles, the bomber forms a key part of Russia's nuclear triad. The aircraft can carry up to 12 long-range cruise missiles from the Kh-101 and Kh-102 missile families. These weapons are capable of delivering both conventional and nuclear strikes from standoff distances far beyond enemy air defense coverage. Ukraine has also claimed that Russia modified the Kh-101 cruise missile multiple times during the conflict. According to Ukrainian claims, Russian engineers sacrificed part of the missile's fuel capacity to install a heavier warhead weighing approximately 800 kilograms. Ukrainian sources also allege the introduction of cluster submunitions containing incendiary components made from steel balls with zirconium inserts designed to ignite during detonation. Additional claims suggest that newer KH-101 variants may use more powerful explosive compounds and upgraded guidance systems combining inertial navigation, satellite correction, and electro-optical targeting. These claims remain difficult to independently verify in full wartime conditions, but they continue to shape discussions around the evolving role of Russian cruise missile technology. Since the beginning of the conflict in Ukraine, Tu-160 bombers have regularly launched cruise missile strikes from deep inside Russian airspace. This allows the aircraft to participate in long-range strike operations while avoiding direct exposure to Ukrainian air defenses. The Tu-160 also carries enormous symbolic value for the Kremlin. For decades, Russian state media has portrayed the aircraft as a symbol of national aerospace engineering power and strategic prestige. Bomber patrols, modernization milestones, and new imagery releases are frequently presented as proof that Russia remains one of the world's dominant military powers. Looking toward the future, the biggest unanswered question is whether Russia can truly expand Tu-160 production, or whether the current effort is mainly focused on sustaining a relatively small fleet. Official statements have repeatedly promised large numbers of newly built Tu-160M2 bombers, but open-source evidence suggests the actual production pace remains limited. Some analysts believe Russia may struggle to produce more than a few aircraft over the coming years because of workforce shortages, industrial constraints, and sanctions-related supply issues. However, Russian industry representatives claim the Kazan plant is actively solving manpower problems while introducing higher levels of automation into production line. Restarting strategic bomber production after decades of inactivity is an enormously complex undertaking. The original Tu-160 was built using massive Cold War-era industrial infrastructure and supply chains that no longer fully exist in modern Russia. Rebuilding that ecosystem during wartime conditions creates major technical and financial challenges. And honestly, even countries with far larger industrial bases would probably find that difficult. At the same time, Russia is also attempting to modernize other major aviation platforms, including the Tupolev Tu-22M bomber fleet, tactical fighter aircraft, and several next-generation aerospace programs. Maintaining all of those efforts simultaneously while fighting an active conflict places enormous pressure on the country's aerospace sector. For now, the Tu-160M program appears to be progressing steadily, although far more slowly than originally envisioned. Satellite imagery confirms that modernization work continues, new infrastructure has become operational, and some upgraded bombers are returning to service. Yet according to Altitude Addicts, the available evidence also suggests that Russia's strategic aviation industry remains under heavy strain, with long production cycles and limited throughput continuing to define the program's future. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe the channel. Please also take the channel membership to encourage us.